For nearly 8 months last year, millions in Iran did what they'd never dared in the 30-year history of the Islamic Revolution. They risked life and limb to publicly scorn Iran's hardline leaders. Chants of death to Iran's supreme leader no longer taboo. It was the awakening of the Iranian people, says Nima. The 30-year-old protester who spoke to CNN by phone from Tehran says he took at least 3 beatings during the demonstrations. It showed how so many people were unhappy, says another protester, 31-year-old Azadeh. It showed their frustration. The frustration boiled over hours after the June 12th presidential elections. The government declared incumbent Mahmoud Ahmadinejad the winner in a landslide. Green-clad supporters of opposition candidate Mir Hossein Mousavi said the vote was rigged. For years, people knew the system here was run with lies, says Azadeh. When they saw fraud in the elections, that was the last straw. Massive protests were peaceful at first. Then came the government's brutal crackdown. On June 20th, a cell phone camera captured the dying moments of Neda Agha Sultan. The 26-year-old became an instant icon of Iran's Green Movement. Human rights groups say at least 80 protesters have been killed, thousands of activists arrested, many forced to confess in televised show trials. In recent months, the crackdown seems to have shut down street protests, says Middle East expert Karim Sajadpour.
By virtue of the fact that Green Movement supporters espouse democracy and human rights and coexistence, a far smaller number of them are willing to go out in the streets and get killed, as opposed to government supporters who have a monopoly of coercion and have shown themselves willing to kill and die to stay in power.
Its supporters say the Green Movement has morphed from street protests into an underground and online campaign to raise awareness about civil rights. In the beginning, the movement was like a child, says Azadeh. As it's growing, it's taking a different shape. You have to be patient, says Nima. If you really want to get somewhere, you have to continue the struggle. Several supporters of the Green Movement told us they plan to go out on Saturday, and if protests take shape, they will join in. Iranian officials still say last year's vote was fair and the unrest that followed was a foreign plot to overthrow the regime. They say all those killed were either killed accidentally, by terrorists, or by opposition supporters themselves. Reza Sayah, CNN, Islamabad.